Hello, my wicked darlings, and welcome to another Cinema Society Saturday. Each week, we're paired up and provided with a theme. This week, I was paired up with Frenchie, or Mr. IMDb as he's known. And our theme was Satan, something which I'm reasonably well versed in. And we are looking at horror movies, but and this week I provided Frenchie with Rosemary's Baby, and he provided me with Little Nicky, which is a movie about Satan, or at least the son of Satan. Where do we start with this? I wouldn't normally have the devil drink on video, but good Lord, I watched this movie, and I have a rule when I'm watching movies for reviewing, which is the phone is banned. This turned out to be an error in judgment, as I think this is definitely a movie that you want to watch while scrolling on your phone, and in fairness, it's a product of its time. It's from the year 2000, which is when we used to get a cheap video from Blockbuster, take someone on a date who generally the guys I dated weren't massively into horror, so we would just get a romantic comedy or some kind of a comedy, put it on in the background, watch the first 15 minutes of it, and then spend the rest of it with ruderies. This would have been a good movie for that. I think we would have got about 2 minutes into it before we were distracted and went on to other, more nocturnal themes. Ultimately, it's a lackluster attempt at comedy, and it has an interesting premise, but it fails to deliver on it. The story, revolving around Satan's son Nicky trying to save both hell and humanity from his rebellious brothers, is utterly buried under a barrage of crude and unfunny jokes. I don't know, maybe we've been spoiled by the likes of Lucifer and Good Omen. I know that they're more modern and thus could be seen as more relevant, but the plot of Little Nicky is disjointed and it lacks cohesion, with pacing issues that make the film drag, especially when you don't have your phone. Adam Sandler's portrayal of Nicky is awful. It relies on an exaggerated speech impediment that becomes tiresome immediately. The supporting cast is utterly wasted. It's got Harvey Keitel and Patricia Arquette. Visually, the movie's chaotic, with garish cinematography and uninspired sound effects that add to its overall sense of cheapness. The soundtrack and set design do little to create a memorable atmosphere. There's no real fear factor or psychological depth to this movie, making it ultimately a shallow experience, which was, ironically, what most of my dates were in the 2000s as well. So maybe it was a product of its time, and we should just pretend that entire decade didn't happen. Alcohol-induced memory loss has done quite well for that for me. And themes of family and responsibility are touched upon in this movie, but they're utterly mistreated because it just has this singular focus on lowbrow humour. Ultimately, Little Nicky is a forgettable entry in Sandler's forgettable filmography, lacking the wit, charm, and coherence needed to make it worth watching. Its appeal is limited to, if they exist, die-hard Sandler fans or those with a taste for crude, juvenile humour. I don't know, maybe somewhere on this planet someone was drunk enough that they thought, this is actually an average movie. But this isn't going to get me there. I'm going to need some stronger stuff. No, you know what? No. I'm just going to immediately go and rewatch Hellraiser. Anyway, look, thank you all for listening. I have decided to award this movie 1 newt out of 5. That 1 newt is entirely based upon the fact that there is a dog in this movie.